What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we are taking a look at another collaboration piece from Shirogorov and Dmitry Sinkevich. I'd like to welcome you to the Sigma. Real cool knife, a little bit on the older side on the collaboration end of things, and you know what? A very different look, I guess, in terms of what you'd expect from a Shirogorov traditionally. A lot more, I'd say utensil-y, a lot more just swoopy, a lot more going on beneath the hood, but very simple knife, very lightweight, and just generally another cool one to add to the collection. So today that's what we're going to talk about, is the Sigma. As well, just as a reminder, guys, most items featured on this channel are available on my website, bladezilla.ca. Nice little shout out, which is right there. Just added the Vegas copper V-Cards knife, as well as a bunch of Microtechs. Bladezilla.ca for anyone curious. And the Shirogorov end, we can go there right now. Lots of good stuff on here. That was just listed. But anyway, lots of stuff. Arctic Overkill, some Stellars, a bunch of Hatties, etc. All in Canada, ready to rock and roll. So there you go. Bladezilla.ca. So anyway, just put this up on the site. I have not even made it available. And I wanted to film a video on this while I have the camera set up and ready to go. So it's going to be a shorter video today, just because I literally just don't have a ton of time, particularly today. But certainly wanted to do this video now for quite a while. Before I listed this one, I wanted to kind of put this video up together with the Pero, if you remember that one. So let's kind of get started on this. We'll get some measurements and kind of get going here. So let's take a look. It is a full-size knife, but it has, like I said, that real nice swoopy aesthetic to it, which kind of makes it look a little more dainty, I guess you could say. So what do we get? 8 and almost 7/8, almost 9 inches overall. Almost 9 inches, just a hair under, with a blade, nice long blade on this one, over 4 inches. About 4 to the center choil, something like that. And the handle's probably in that 5 range. Yep. So fairly big, but it doesn't feel that way in hand. It's a lot thinner, right? As you can kind of see. In terms of sizing, I'm going to grab a couple ones and I'm going to do the stacked comparison that I've kind of started doing a little bit. So let's grab the Quantum Custom Division. So there's a size comparison there. We'll grab the F95 and throw that one down beneath it. So there's your three, there's your big boy. So it is a full-size knife. Like, there's no getting around that. And let's not kid ourselves. It's just all in the handle. It makes it look a lot thinner. We can grab we'll grab the Sinkevich pair, because we are doing a Dmitry Sinkevich piece, so we may as well do a little bit more. So we'll grab the bios. For those looking, these are Bio Dark and Bio Light. Dark top, light bottom, super cool. Full tie as well, but you're kind of seeing a little bit of influence there, especially in the spine of the handle. I noticed they really, Sinkevich really seems to like to roll that. Anyway. So I'm going to put some of these away and grab some other ones. We'll do the small boy, the Hation, also carbon, and this is going to look small by comparison, and it is. It's, handle-wise, if you look at the thickness of it, there's not a whole lot between the two, right? But it's just a longer knife. So to me, that's a little more representative there, but just to kind of show size-wise. We've got a Kami hiding somewhere here. Another Sinkevich knife. Super cool. I think the Kami is one of the coolest knives in the whole collaboration. Totally underappreciated because of that asymmetric grind. Asymmetric meaning, if you look at the blade on this one, if I flip it over, it's going to look completely different. See what I'm saying? This is a terrible show. Come on, there we go. See the blade grind? See how it's different on both sides? How cool is that? So another Sinkevich knife, but from a design perspective, you know, the same designer, right? Shirogorov made and Sinkevich designed. So you know, pretty cool. The Vegas V cards. This knife I have shown a number of times. Another copper, size-wise, which is more similar to the Kami than anything, but and also very similar size-wise. But a little more plain Jane in the looks department as well. The Stellar is kind of an in-between size, so grab that, put that up there as well. And then other collaboration pieces. Well, I've got some RJs here. I always like to show the Russian Overkill and the Tom Mayo Dr. Death, because they're just from a collaboration perspective, it's always cool to see how they tend to be made at a higher level than production or full production. But you know, some of these collaboration pieces are almost as well made as some of the custom division knives, which is saying a lot. But it's always cool to see. Now the actual what am I talking about here? The Sigma. The other one that I had with it has completely sold out. I've had a couple Sigmas come through. I've had another one of the Peros come through, and I did a video on a Pero, and I brought that one in not really knowing what was going to really happen, and all of a sudden I put one of those up, and then the Sigma was at a request, so I put one up and then brought another one in. So I think the Sigma and the Pero, they're kind of the two that fit really well together, but the demand for them isn't as quite as hot, I'd say, as some of the RJs or the Tom Mayos or some of the other collaboration pieces. So they're very unique in that sense, and they're certainly not as desirable, I'd say, as the other Dmitry Sinkevich collaboration pieces. But I think it's just because they're carbon fiber. But if we look at the detail end of things, like, there's so much milling here, micro milling, that it almost looks like a fingerprint. And, you know, I know there are only 200 of these made, I believe, of this particular knife. The Pero was, I don't know if there were 200, maybe even 300, maybe just 100, I can't remember. But 200 of these, which is, you know, it's a bigger offering as well, typically, in a collaboration piece. You know, the demand pieces that really get some traction they tend to be the hundreds, the 100 batch. But so 200 is still, given the age of these now, you know, still pretty substantial demand. But you know, you're probably looking at around, you know, $1,500 US. It's pretty standard for these nowadays, depending on condition. You've got that cool, it kind of reminds me of like an on-off switch, you know, on like a remote control or something like that. Just kind of it gives me that on-off switch vibes. But then you've got some anodizing inside that, which just looks cool. And you know, even looking at the bio, like you know, Dmitry really likes to use cool shapes and outlines, and that just is no different. Super awesome. If we move back to the spine, we can see this, you know, nice thick kind of blue color piece that is it the same ano as the hardware? I believe it is the same blue. If it wants to focus, yeah, so it's matching kind of a blue color, which looks cool. But for some reason that clip, that's more of a Shiro thing, right? Clip's a different color tie. If we flip it as well on the back here, I'm just going to rotate it around. We'll look back at the, I guess, the on-off button, whatever you want to call it. But now you've got the Shirogorov Sinkevich hardware that's in there. Come on, focus. You've got that hardware in there, which is you know, it's their proprietary tool. So if I grab, where's the bio? It's like a really good one to show, right? So the bio here, there's that Sinkevich bit. You know, it's the 3 kind of holes, which is nice. So, you know, it's a little more tough to crack these guys open, but and I'll grab the commie as well to show that on there. So there you go. Sinkevich bit. A little bit harder to work on, but if you get the right tool, it's not too challenging at all. And then we go back around the top here. We've got 2 more little screws in the handle for this liner lock knife that are just hidden up there. Same kind of bit. I believe they're a different size as well. I'm just trying to look here. Yeah, they look a little bit smaller. And then the clip is attached internally, I believe. If we crack this open, we'll have another screw inside. And I'm looking around my desk right now for that little light that I always shine in here. And unfortunately, it's buried under a box, so it took me a sec to grab. So if we look inside here, you can just kind of see it on the end. Little bit of a screw inside internally, just to kind of take the neatness level up that much more. And like I said, it's a daintier knife, so it's all about kind of big swoopy lines, but you get that cool color inside there as well. Inside the back spacer, it just looks good. Now there's no milling as far as I can tell inside this because it is carbon, so you know, typically there's not a lot of milling on those, but on the inside as well. And we'll get to the rest of this, but on the inside as well is where the serial number is. And I think this particular one is number 3, which is cool. If it wants to focus and not freak out, you can just see it on the tab there. So number 3, cool. Let's turn that light off so it stops freaking the camera out and kind of look at this a little closer. So we've got this liner lock in here that is held in place, it looks like, by... Oh, there's 2 screws, I believe, that are going to be under the clip. So if we're looking for, remember, talking simplicity, we got 1 here and 1 more kind of forward. But that's where the liner's held in place from. That's cool. I didn't even notice those screws. Originally, I actually thought they were somehow attached to the back spacer, but no. That's a nice little gem there, adding to the specialization of this knife. Looks nice. Just really well executed. Pretty light on the lockup as well, which is cool. Kind of 2 rows of jimping. I'm trying to figure out why they did that. Why there's that one up top. I have no idea. So obviously a flipper tab, right? It's a very short flipper tab, and Sinkevich knives, they tend to have a very little flipper tab on most of them, with a few exceptions. But like if you look at the commie, for example, very, very minimal flipper tabs, to the point where it's a turnoff for some people. But they really like these little flipper tabs. I'll grab the bio again and show you the same thing. You know, a little bit bigger on this, but still in the relativity of kind of other collaborations, it's a very small little flipper tab. This one is no different. It is, I'd say, even smaller. But I'm looking at this, trying to figure out why. So we've got a little bit of jimping. I'll show you the front on the top there. But as I rotate it, there's more back there. And I'm trying to figure out what the purpose of that is, because you're not going to use it for anything. So if it flips out, and then on the bottom here, now it's on the bottom. So is that meant to be so you can hold it down there, maybe? If you want to kind of go up a little bit, maybe that's part of the design. I don't know. You know, it's a little getting close to the blade to be utilized, in my opinion, but you never know. You never know. What else here? So if we further look into the handle here, so the flipper tab is now built into this entire, you know, internal swoop of the handle. It really feels beautiful in hand. That's the one thing I wasn't expecting, is that it's kind of like, how can I say this? Because there's no spots for your finger to really go anywhere, it's just really comfortable. It feels kind of like you're holding a really nicely made weapon, I guess. And it's the thinness up top here, you don't notice it. You'd think you'd be like, oh, it's a very thin, whatever kind of handle, but you don't notice it because it expands and kind of swells out to the end. That's what she said. It's quite nice. Very light. The jimping on the blade, I think I mentioned it's an M390 blade, but it's got some nice useful jimping, and that jimping really reminds me of that F95 I showed earlier, just the old school kind of just rougher jimping, and a thick blade stock too. But that kind of is very resemblant of that to me, that old style blade. It's good. You know, if they were making this knife nowadays, I bet you that'd be a thicker blade stock, or sorry, a thinner blade stock. But the beauty of this is you can go right up to the end, slide your finger right down to the tip, you know, basically pick wherever you want and go, which is nice. But, you know, pretty standard drop point. But a nice little hidden tip here, a little swell on the end. See what I'm talking about? A little bit. Shirogorov barrel on the blade looks great, as you'd expect. You know, personally, I'd prefer it down here on the handle, but I'm not the designer of the knife, and if I designed a knife, I think I would struggle to even get 200 to sell, let alone create demand. On the flip side, we should have the Sinkevich design. Yep. Which looks great. That'd be a nice little macro shot to take some photos of, which I already did. Looks good. Nice clean edge on this one. Brand new. Never cut. Which is always nice. Got a little bit of a mirror to it as well, which is cool. In terms of the action, it runs on multi-row bearings, and this one is ultra smooth. Nice carbon handled kind of clunk to it on the detent. Just a silky smooth knife, which is awesome. And then one thing that I like on this, that I'm trying to frame a photo of, is, you know, we have the MRBS, which is typically written on the inside of the handle, kind of up top here, usually on the inside. And in this case, there's nothing written on there. So where do they put it? Well, they put it where I would love them to write the blade steel on a lot of the knives, MRBS, but they put M390 next to it. And I think that is a nice little detail. It's rare to see when they write that in two different spots on the same area. I think that's so cool to me. That's a nice detail because it's you're still getting MRBS, which is awesome, but that M390 is just so, like right beside it, that's cool. I really dig that. That'd be a nice photo. I probably should have framed that for some kind of double photo or something. That's a cool little detail. Underneath that backspacer, did they do any centering on it? No, they didn't. Well, I guess on the carbon there's some, I believe I'm looking at. Looks like the carbon itself acts as a bit of a, come on man, focus. There we go. Yeah, I guess there's a bit of a track for centering, but otherwise you're kind of just trying to line up generally in that blue area. It's pretty simple. And then on the back, we've got this little lanyard hole. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of hidden, but from the side, very nice and swoopy. You know, I often say on the Stellar, one of the things that people, you know, they complain about the design element is that the lanyard hole is so visible. Personally, I really don't care. It looks fine to me. But, you know, the workaround in that is they do these, you know, kind of built-in spots in the backspacer where it's, you know, doesn't have anything from the side, but let's move this out of the way. So, you know, no holes from the side, but from the top, all of a sudden, bada bing, lanyard hole. It's kind of just built in real nice. Nice little workaround, and they're doing that on a lot of them. But the Sinkevich knives, they do some weird things with the backspacers. So, you know, like on the bio, you know, once again, very subtle, very little. It's there still in the Shirogorov fashion, but it's very subtle. You know, this guy, you could almost not even know it has one from the side, and from the top, you'd be like, where is it? It's so subtle still. But there is one. It's just kind of hiding in plain sight. You're not going to fit much of a paracord through there. Maybe some fishing line. Or maybe you can do some fishing on the side. Huh? Value add. No, it's a cool knife. But, just it's so funny seeing some of these older knives that are like legit carbon fiber, whereas now everything's carbo tie and kind of, inlays and all this stuff. It's a bit of a throwback, the simplicity of these older knives, in that, the coolness was added through the fingerprint style milling on this knife, which is just insanely well done. As you can kind of see, you look at it and you kind of see like this swoopy wave that follows the patterns on the handle. It's truly remarkable. And then in the background you get these swirls, like right here in the carbon fiber itself. You kind of get these swirls that form, and it really feels like an individual knife with those fingerprints. It's just so cool. It's a bit of a throwback. A modern day version of this, I don't know what they would do. I really don't know what they'd do. I love how there's kind of the blanks on the hardware, on the discs, that just subtly little countersunk in. I think that looks so cool. This is very subtle flipper tab. Everything's subtle on this and precise. The pocket clip, there's a little bend. I don't know if you can see it underneath. There's a little track here. Very subtle little bend to allow that to move up and down. But it's that kind of detail you don't really tend to get. So I'm talking about a little bend right here. Nice and flat, smooth, just simple. With really a lot of detail for fairly, at this point, very attainable collaboration piece. Is it the best collaboration piece they've ever done? No, I don't think it is. Is it a cool one? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's just different, right? And, for an average guy, you can get these. Sometimes they pop up for cheap, and you can get them at like a production level F95 price. And you're not going to lose money on them, which is awesome. So, good fit in hand. I really like where the jimping falls, and it's a little bit bigger than that F95 too, lengthwise. It's a lot of it. Rounded edges, which I don't know if I really talked about, but all around the carbon. All those rounded, beautiful beveled edges. All the way around the frame, on top. Just simple. Like, keep it simple, stupid. The old KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what this knife is. Long backspacer too, which Sinkevich seems to like to do, compared to Shiro. Longer. You're at, 3/4, 2/3 plus, which is kind of Shiro doesn't really like to break half. So you're getting a little extra, which is cool, but very thin. Like, I know you're looking at this knife very close up at all these angles. It's a very thin backspacer. Like, I grab that Quantum again. Like, look at the difference we're talking here. Like, are you kidding me? It's night and day. So don't think that's a nice, thick, beefy one. That's what she said. I didn't say it. Anyway, what else? We talked about how the clips attach, that cool bend, the underneath, the individual labeling. We've got that nice bevel as well on the lock bar, which is not elevated. It does not roll. What I'm talking about there is if I grab a F95 or Quantum will do. The elevated lock bar is from the side here. If I'm looking at this, tends to be elevated to open that up. This one is not a great example of that because it's not really elevated. Great story, hey? Let's grab this Hattie here. The Hattie does it. So if I go from the side here and I roll, you see how that lock bar is just elevated for easier access, right? That's a Shiro thing. This one doesn't have that. It's just got the bevel. And typically on the thinner knives, I was kind of surprised they didn't add a little bevel to the inside of this for your finger to find that a little easier. But you know what? I think that would kind of ruin the overall aesthetic by doing anything there. That might look a little goofy. So less is more. Keep it simple. Nice little bevel. Does the trick. Really nicely. So I think I'm going to leave you on that today. Not a whole lot to talk about this particular knife. It's cool, it's simple. I'd love to know the significance of that kind of blue track. That's not a square, not a box, just kind of cool. Very Sinkevich-esque design there. And I think this is a cool knife. Very slicey. I could easily use a block of these in the kitchen because they're cool. It's the real cool knife. So that's going to be it, guys. Check out the website, bladezilla.ca. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok. Hit that like button. Hammer the subscribe button, obviously, if you're already on YouTube, because why wouldn't you? And until next time, I will catch you later. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Peace.